Okay, took me about a half an hour to get my mic working, but let's try this. I'm going to see how fast I can go so that the video doesn't get too big. So ignore this picture. That was something I was doing in testing. And what we want to make sure is that stretch is on here. See the stretch? Click it on. Neutralize background. Otherwise, they come out green like in Pixel Sight when you have to run SC noise reduction. So we don't want that. Just do that. You don't ever have to run SCNR anymore. This save is for when you want to save what you see on the screen. If I save it right now, it'll be a little dark and drab. If I want it a little brighter, I can drag this slider over. And then if I want my blacks a little darker, I can drag this over. I can push the lights a little further, even more. Sometimes if you want it a lot, drag it way over. See, I'm still dragging even though I'm over here. It'll be super. Yep, too much. So we're going to go back a little. And it's not the best interface. I mean, it's simple, but a lot of it doesn't make sense to me. For example, if you click this down to 1 and 3, it will be touchier. And if you click this and now it goes to 2 and 4, it'll be less touchy. And if you go to 3 and 4, it'll be less touchy, which just means, you got to move it a little further. It's not going to overshoot. And same up here. And don't ask me why he did that. I guess you could say that's the slider resolution. So anyway, I'm trying to make it look half decent here. Let's go a little darker on the blacks. There we go. And maybe just a touch lighter on the lights. And again, I turned it down a little, so I'm going to push it hard again. And say that that's where we like it. Now, when you click save, it'll come up in, this is a new version. I've never even read what all this is. I don't like to read, I just play. I think I just ignore that. That's the directory where it's going to put it. I just click OK. And it will say saving frame. Now, I thought it was going to tell me. Oh, I must have it set as a default. You used to have to tell it before to save it as a tip, but it's doing it right now. So those new features, I did some kind of updater there too. Like I said, I'm not used to this version at all. And let's see, I'm going to click save again, and there's my directory. My name, file type. Okay, so that's good. It used to always ask me what type. So you can save it as a FITS or a TIFF or a JPEG. So we'd want to save it as a TIFF when that time comes. But then it says bit depth 16-bit integer. We're going to do 16-bit. And just that'll stay saved now, apparently. sRGB, that works good. JPEG quality is for when you have it saved as a JPEG, and I would want that higher quality. And DPI, that's fine. 72 is default. So then we do OK. Do you want to overwrite the one I have? I'm going to say yes. And it's saving it as a TIFF while it converts it from this FIT file here. And this is just a quick preview of what some of this stuff does on the right that I use. And TIFFs are huge, so that takes a little bit of time. Over here is more stuff. Most of that I never use. Like I said, I don't watch tutorials. I don't read directions. I just jump in. This thing is like a default stretch. You can say no stretch. There's none. That's the only way you get no stretch. So somebody posted an image recently that said there's no stretch, but I think he did have a stretch. This would be max auto stretch. That's not bad. I like the tone of that. That would be nice to bring into Photoshop. You don't want it too compressed. You don't want it hot spots and real dark spots because you can tune that in Photoshop better. So I might just leave it there. But again, you can go up here and tweak the lights, and tweak the darks, and you're always going to have neutralized background on. Look at it. Okay, cool. This is actually one sub I had test loaded in, and let's get rid of this. This is probably the TIFF it's saved. I think it is, but we're going to get rid of it. There should be a right click and remove. I don't know what's going on now. Deselect, leave, remove. I have a super high res monitor and it's like 49 inches wide, and I can hardly read this stuff, so bear with me. Let's see here. I got my pass. The first thing you want to do, if you even need to, I don't know, you go into raw fit and you put your your debayer setting here, which is usually RGGB algorithm. If you don't know what it is, don't touch it. Force debayer. So it's check that. Camera white balance. I don't have a white balance on my camera. And this is kind of neat too. It looks like you can try to balance things out, but don't mess with it if you don't need to. So I'm doing RGGB. It says adaptive area disk, source, debayer it, and leave it at that. You shouldn't have to ever come back and touch that again. Now we are going to do, this is on defaults, I think, multi-channel processing, well, really we're not, so let's turn that off. Multi-session processing, I'm going to turn that off. These are all new, so I don't, I've never looked at them. Auto detect masters, we're not going to have masters. So here we are, and I may get a totally bizarre result since I just changed all kinds of things I don't ever mess with. Now I'm going to go down here and do lights, and I am in my Pac-Man one-shot color, and I'm going to, they are sorted in half lux radius here at the front. So the worst is 375 and the best is 286. And I'm going to select the first and shift, hold, and click the last. And I'm going to say open. And it is opening all these files. It is debayering them and all that jazz. And they are all down here now. Let me make sure I clicked. Yep, I did record. And you can go through and look at each one if you want to. If I say, hey, send me a sub, this would be one sub. So I'm going to just click it, double click it, and that's the sub. You can zoom in with, I'm doing it on my mouse wheel here, in and out. You can see there's something here that looks like maybe it might have been a tree branch or something when I was starting. I see a little bit of red business over here, you know, a little bit of LP. We'll get rid of that. And then I like to flip through them or see them in other programs, like you can blank them in PixInsight and just look for anything bad. And I happen to know that these last three are not the best. So I'm loading this one to look at it. Double click it. And it's not bad. I'll leave it. I know these last couple, I think, are, yeah. This one you can see clouds start to come in. You can leave it or you can delete it. I typically delete anything with flaws. That one's not too bad. This one is very bad. So it was just taken during the night. Also, once you run the processes here, it will tell you all about star density and background shade, and it'll dispersion. It'll put all this stuff, your half lux radius, quality score. It'll rate each one. So if you go through the first couple of steps, you can then just come into quality score, and your bad quality ones, you can delete the worst of the bunch. But I know that that one's bad, so I am going to delete, and it'll say, do you want to delete it from your drive and everything? And I'm going to say yes, because I don't want that. And once you leave it, I think I'll leave this other one, guys. There's a little bit of clouds passing through there, but that'll give us something to remove later. Normally I would pull it. I'm clicking others here. Yeah, it was when I quit, clouds were moving in, so I thought, no, not good enough for me. Okay, so we got that. This is each sub that we keep looking at. Again, you can zoom in. You can see there was, I don't know if it's kind of a color vignetting, but I don't worry about it. My target's here. So we zoom in. Looks pretty good where it's set. However, um, the default, I think, is all of these. There's like no stretch, 10% background, 10%, and each one's a little different. It tends to default to this first one that has 15 on the left. You can see I'm very scientific. And that tends to be a good starting point. Now, to me, that seems dark, so I'm going to see if I can push it again, or I can just jump back. I'm going to jump back. It was quick and easy, and it looked really good. Okay, and that we want it a little overstretched so you can see flaws. I see, noise and colors and all that. But that's one sub. So anyway, we are going to make sure these are all checked over here on the left, and they are. They come up by default. You can uncheck ones that are bad. And to get this going, I am going to do nothing more. I mean, all we did was load lights right here, lights, and I selected the files. And all I'm going to do now is go from load, and you can do each of these separate. You can do calibrate, analyze stars. I mean, if you want to really, make it harder on yourself, like Vixen site, you can run each little thing, or just skip all that, the register, because it will do it on its own. Normalize, you can do all that, and then you can stop and look at your quality settings, and all of these will fill in the data, and then you can sort them on quality and on number of stars and background density and stuff like that. So anyway, I want to keep it simple. We're going to go right to the last option, which is integrate. Right there, I clicked integrate, and there's again a bunch of options here, and I leave them on default unless you're doing something fancy, like if you want to do what do you call those, mosaic, where you mix them together. Nah, I'm just leaving it where it is. Don't make a big deal out of anything. Just click integrate, and it'll ask the name of the object to save it as, and I'm going to say this is Pac-Man demo. And I'm going to do OK, and I'm going to pause this. What's going on is it's doing all the steps, and there's another little window here that I have off screen, and it just kind of tells what it's doing. It's analyzing stars. And I'm going to get rid of that again because it's not important. Just like there's a bar here, and this is not important, so I usually close that. And it's pretty quick. You can see what it's doing here. My fan on my computer's kicking in because it's working hard. And because it does take a little bit of time, I probably should pause it. So I am going to see if I don't do this very often anymore. I am going to do a stop recording, and then I'll start again.